Hello, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another React video. This video centers around VaatiVidya's prepare to cry videos. I keep saying try not to cry, but it's prepare to cry. And by the looks of it, it goes over Sin, Alone, the Fume Knight, or the Raven as he was once called, the Ivory King, and Lucatiel. So we got a good lineup here. So let's just get stuck right into it. Let's just get right into it.
This is the story of a dragon with poison in his heart. And it's a story of the race that discovered him, worshipped his magnificence, but ultimately perished by his side. Dragons have always been intriguing to humanity, with many believing they hold the secrets to life itself. One who believed this was Vendrick, king of Drangleic, and his brother Aldia. Together they experimented on dragons, in the hopes that they could learn more about their existence. Eventually, they were successful, recreating an ancient dragon with the ability to peer into the past, to view the stories of old so that they might learn from them. This is one such story. In the ancient dragon's eyrie, before the chamber with the dragon's egg, is a mural that depicts an ancient civilization.
I'm terribly sorry that I didn't see this when I was playing. It looks like super important. Don't know how I didn't notice this at all.
Who existed long ago, deep below the deepest depths.
And it matched up with the one down there.
Legend has it that deep below the earth, behind a door locked from the inside, is a magnificent city, built for a great, slumbering dragon. In a bygone age, the king in the depths built his city around this beast. This subterranean world centered around the great sanctum that housed the dragon in its depths, and was aptly named Shulva, the Sanctum City. This was a religious city, where sorceries were considered taboo, but miracles flourished, as the people there were grounded in their faith. The people prayed and worshipped, and the priestesses sang to soothe the dragon in its slumber. One wonders whether a single phrase of their song ever reached the dragon's ears, but to people of faith, such questions matter not. As is common,
the king had a dear queen.
And the queen sang to the dragon also. At this point in our story, you should know that the dragon has a tragic secret. Deep within him, Sin harbors a dreadful store of poison, and there will come a time where he cannot bear it any longer.
Yeah.
Looking back, it's impossible to know whether the people knew of the poison, or even if the dragon himself knew. Perhaps the people of the city prayed, sang, and soothed out of fear that the waking of the dragon would lead to their demise. If so, this could only serve to strengthen their faith. For fear is the heart of reverence, and the people revered their magnificent sleeping beast, the center of their faith.
That would be pretty cool to have a giant dragon slumbering in your city. That would be freaking wild.
It should come as no surprise to you that men would come to covet the dragon.
Yeah.
To the Drakeblood Knights, fresh dragon blood was sacrosanct. They believed that by obtaining it, they could come to a true understanding of life, allowing them to transcend their own pointless existence.
Yeah.
In a world where strength of purpose keeps one from hollowing, a belief like this isn't so strange. Led by humanity and his famous spear, the Drakeblood Knights lay siege to Shulva. The king of Shulva called his Sanctum Knights to arms, many of whom renounced their own flesh to eternally guard the sanctum from the assault of Sir Yorg and his Drakeblood Knights. They were sentenced to eternal stewardship, yet soon the day would come where the sanctum received nary a visitor. During the conflict, the dragon slept, lulled by the queen's song. You have to wonder who sent Sir Yorg and his Drakeblood Knights, so look now at the crest upon the ring of Sir Yorg and see the truth of things. This is the crest of Drangleic. Sir Yorg, leader of the Drakeblood Knights and possibly of Vendrick's kingdom, cuts down the soldiers of the sanctum and kills the king in the depths. He then faces the slumbering dragon. With visions of dragon blood and...
You know, that would make sense because they're seeking out dragons. They're trying to make their own, so if there was one that was said to be alive, they would want to send a party out there. Interesting.
Omniscience, Sir Yorg pierces the dragon with a flash of his steel, piercing Sin through the chest. And as you can imagine, it wasn't what he was expecting. Sin immediately awakens, and from his wound spews forth the deadly poison that had long been brewing within him. It blankets the entire city in a miasmic cloud, restoring the dragon's purity, but toppling the city. Sir Yorg and his Drakeblood Knights disappeared into the sanctum, and nothing more was heard of the race that discovered a dragon and worshipped its magnificence. Until
sad.
now. There have been many kings and kingdoms, hierarchies that rose and fell, leaving ruined kingdoms behind. We visit the memories of Vendrick, king of his own unraveled kingdom.
I am no king. I am more fit to be a jester. I was unaware of my own blindness. We are feeble vessels, with feebler souls. We would cast aside the prop of life, only to face greater hardship. Are you another such fool? Or something more? Seeker of fire,
Oh, he said
conqueror
it.
of
There
dark.
it goes.
Do you intend to link the fire? Then you must first take the throne. Prove your worth. Find the ancient crowns. Seek adversity, and they will be yours. And your wishes granted.
Somewhere within the sanctum is the crown of the sunken king, the crown of a king who came before Vendrick, the crown of a king who was killed by Sir Jorg on the day that the dragon awoke. We explore the ruined sanctum, and we uncover the truths that it holds. The soldiers in the sanctum are now undead, coated with the corrosive poison of the dragon, but still carrying out their orders to defend the sanctum from outsiders. Throughout the sanctum we find open chests, which are a tribute to the grave robbers and thieves who have flocked to this place. Sin the sleeping dragon now roams his domain, sleeping lightly where he pleases. He even clears a bridge for us at one point, killing the 2 soldiers that block our path. Dragons in all the lore have always kept to themselves. They either think themselves above man or do not care for his conflicts. You have to wonder about Sin. Did he harbor malicious intent? He had poison in his heart, but when he was pierced by Jorg's spear, the poison gushed out and restored his purity. This implies he was pure before, which suggests that the poison was placed within him. But by whom? We find an answer in the sanctum, right before Sin.
You forever shall rot.
Alana, the squalid queen, once again sings to Sin, the slumbering dragon. After the kingdom is ruined by Sin's awakening, she remains alone. I believe Alana sang the Song of Poison into the dragon's heart, and was at least partly responsible for the fall of the sunken king, just like her sister Nishandra was responsible for the fall of Drangleic. Nothing explicitly confirms Alana's intentions, except the pattern that repeats itself. We are discovering that all great kings have queens that lay in wait, waiting for the right moment to strike, and it's easy to believe that the queen of the Sanctum City was partly responsible for its fall. Alana.
Why was she sticking around, though? Like, the king was dead, she wasn't going to get any closer to that, she wasn't going to get any closer to the first flame, whatever it's called. Well, wait, no, they all had different emotions. I can't remember what hers was.
Alana defends her sunken kingdom with a mixture of fire, dark, and most notably, poison and filth. Her essence is that of filth and neglect.
Felstad.
She even summons a depraved replica of the king's hand, Felstad, completing the image of a queen devoted to making a mire of the world. After we conquer Alana, we learn who she was from her soul.
Yeah.
Seeker of fire, I see you've subdued another foul creature. One of the father of the abyss spawn. That confounded quintessence of humanity. The abyss once had form, but then dissipated. And yet, traces of its existence endured. Each fragment, thirsting for power, spread dark with no relent. My dear Chandra was one such fragment. A feeble, tiny thing that thirsted for power more than any other. Driven by insatiable lust for a worthy vessel.
It almost sounded sad
All
about
queens thus far are the children of the sentient abyss that existed long ago.
I mean, he wouldn't
They
be
are the
sad.
pieces
It's his
that
wife.
regained form in ways that hint at humanity's true nature. They seek to be whole once again. Alana, the queen of the Sanctum King, is a child of wrath. She's gathering souls and power from the slumbering dragon in anticipation of the coming day of vengeance. Her sister, Nishandra, the queen of Drangleic, is a child of want. The king's dear Chandra seeks the throne and the power to reshape the world that comes with it. For this, she needs a vessel. Nishandra guards the throne. Alana guards a crown. I'm sure a third sister lies in the remains of the old Iron King's kingdom, and we've yet to see her. It appears that the sisters are keeping the crowns and the throne warm, waiting for some day of reckoning where they avenge their father. Every king of light has had a fragment of Manus undoing their efforts from the start. Like Vendrick says, the brighter the flame, the deeper their shadow. Sin's death was a result of our desire for the crown of the sunken king, for it is now our job to gather the crowns and link the fire. We aim to be a lord of light that the previous kings weren't, and we will succeed in this. But what if we have a queen of our own?
Bearer of the curse, I will
He
always...
did say that at the end of that lore video. It was one of his like conspiracies where he's like, what if she's our queen and she's looking to take our spot once we achieve the linking the fire? It was an interesting conspiracy, but she just kind of, you know, disappears. She goes mute again and won't talk to you ever again after that last little bit of dialogue. Yeah, one of you guys told me about Sin in a little bit more detail. Even some facts that were missing in this video you told me about. He was pure. He was holding it in to save them or something. But yeah, that's a sad story for Sin. Still a really shitty boss fight. I hated that one.
A man is defined by his ambitions. Before the Iron Crown, all the young lord had was an iron will. Little known and unestablished, the lord held some power, but he wanted a kingdom to match his pride. So with ambition alone, he raised an army and threw his entire might against the kingdom of Ven. Ven was not a desirable region, but even so, the lord lost much to acquire it. He wrested this small throne from its previous ruler and became a king. This act left him enfeebled.
That character
He
design.
had sacrificed everything for this kingdom, and was discovering that ambition without wisdom is like a bird without wings.
What a line.
How could he hope to hold this kingdom? Ambition had inspired his subjects to action, yes, but ambition alone cannot run a country. It cannot substitute the qualities a ruler needs. The king was short-sighted, he knew little, and his story likely would have ended here. But then, from the east, a powerful warrior came, a man wielding a bewitched sword so powerful it was unknown whether he controlled the blade or whether the blade controlled him. This man was Alon. Sir Alon stands apart from the
Alon.
other characters in our
Alone.
story. The others are defined by their wants and ambitions, but Alon has none to speak of. Thus, it's impossible to say why he came to this land, or what he saw in the king. Perhaps he thought he was destined for great things, or perhaps they became like brothers. Whatever his desires, Alon decided to serve the short-sighted king. His wisdom was a light in the darkness, and the king was reborn as a powerful ruler. With wisdom and pride, Alon and the king did a great many things. Their rule was defined by their strength, and the kingdom was shaped by their union. The king's army was revolutionized under Alon, with the men mastering great bows and slender blades wielded in an eastern fashion. The king, as many kings before him, found himself enraptured with fire.
Do they ever talk about how this might be related to Shiva of the East? Is that his name? Shiva? Because they're very similar. Similar armor, similar sword, similar fight style. I'm not saying that Shiva is at all related, but like, are they from the same place? I wonder if he touches on that.
And all it represented. He appointed a master of pyromancy, a man named Egil, who would go on to grant fire a will of its own. Egil adored his bull-headed king, and was awarded a great ornamental minotaur helm. The minotaur, half man, half bull, would come to symbolize the stubbornness and bestial strength of the king and his kingdom. For even with Alon's counsel, the king remained short-sighted and reckless. So like a bull, he charged ahead, savoring his momentum. To sustain his country, the king sacrificed the land. Past the hunting grounds in the copse lay a place called Harvest Valley. The king exploited the land here so thoroughly that poison seeped from the earth, but it mattered not. The stubborn king persisted, adapting his workers and driving the slaves ever harder. The bounty of ore found here was high, so the kingdom became wealthy and well supplied. Within the valley, great relics of times long past were uncovered, kingdoms from long ago, sunken and forgotten to time. A warning existed here. but the king was blind to
I love that they put that in there. It was such a beautiful shrine. Oh, Solaire.
it. He did not seek to learn from past kingdoms buried beneath the earth. Rather, he intended to profit from their passing. And so, when the scorching iron scepter was found, everything changed. With heat, you can fuel, create, destroy. It's one of the simplest forms of energy, and thus it's one of the most useful. With this artifact, the King of Ven revolutionized his kingdom. Smelting iron became trivial. There were no bounds to what he could create. Iron melted, shifted, and was brought under his control, as if he held sway over the forces of life and creation. The kingdom's warriors were equipped in iron armament. Hulking great suits of armor were brought to life. The king curated a palace made entirely of iron, and some legends even say that he tried to create a dragon out of iron, driven by the same fated lunacy as the kings before him. Presiding over his great age, the Iron King knew unparalleled power. None could stand in his way, and any who would try would be crushed under his might. Be that as it may, the Iron King still faced challenges. All the iron in the world could not cure the undead curse, but not for lack of trying on the king's part. He sought to shackle and imprison all undead in iron, converting the copse to a hunting ground and prison where undead, not animals, were the prey. It seemed fruitless, however, and the hollowed undead continued to multiply even within the ranks of those hunting them. In his rage, the Iron King built a great circular colosseum to torture the undead.
Oh my god.
They were ritually let out of their cells to be run down by the executioner chariot, unable to escape and unable to die.
That's the reason for the
punishment
place?
for offending the Iron King's might was harsh, even if undeserved. These things became reflections of the king's conceit, hallmarks of his reign.
Oh my god.
At this moment, a terrible woman who would be his ruinous queen set course for the kingdom. And then, at the peak of the Iron King's rule, his friend walked away. Alon was gone, his distaste left unspoken. The king was alone. How had Alon dared to leave him? The king's might was iron, his right to rule unchallenged. He could not suffer the indignity, would not. So he tracked his old friend to a far-off keep. He saw that Alon had brought some of the king's own men with him and had posted them as guards, knowing the king would come after him. But the Iron King had grown powerful, and Alon's knights were no match for his might. At the top of the tower, Alon waited for his king to meet him. Once, the question the king might have asked was why. Why had Alon left him? But he had been king for a long time, and his arrogance had grown, so when the two men clashed, their ties were forgotten. They had come far together, ever since the days when the Iron King was just a small lord on a small throne. Alon had helped him become the man he was today, and he paid dearly for it. For once, Alon would have avoided every blow, but now it was the king who overwhelmed the teacher. Alon took his own life in the end, dying with honor instead of to the king's hand.
That's the secret ending you guys talked about. Hitless run.
The memory we experience doesn't end with Alon's death.
Right, it was a memory we went, and I was like, huh, how did they fight if he was there when we fought? That was a memory. My bad.
As you would expect. When we step inside a memory, we see it through to the end.
Yeah.
The king walked into the adjacent room after Alon departed, and what he saw there would
Super
steal
cool
this
arena.
memory in his mind forever. In this room, Alon had kept the king's old throne, a reminder of the king's humble origins, a keepsake from the time he had traveled to the king's land, offering his servitude and friendship to the man who would become the Iron King. The memory ends here. Nurtured properly, man's ambition allows us to take flight. On ambition's back, we reach greater heights, and kingdoms are elevated alongside the man. But if man looks back and sees not where he has been, then on which path does he travel? The Iron King had lost his way, and now he had lost a friend and mentor as well. From this point onwards, we see evidence that this event had broken the man. After Alon departed, the Iron King named his knights after Sir Alon, for they were loyal to him more than the Iron King. He took Alon's armor back to his home, enshrining it and locking it below his current, towering Iron Throne. This bonfire below the throne came to be known as Smelter Throne Bonfire. His pyromancer Egil had experimented with giving fire a will of its own, and the king had become adept at infusing suits of iron with souls. Now, towards the end of his rule, he crafted one more, a terrifying suit of black iron that would come to represent the demons he now held. It's implied he infused it with Alon's soul, for the demon he created took on the combat style of his old friend, battling with inhuman leaps into the air, and the ability to infuse its sword with fire by plunging it into its belly, just like Alon had done.
Oh.
The lore is unclear on what happens next.
I did not.
Some of it says that
I did not make that connection at all. And the face of the Smelter Demon also is kind of like a golem or giant, you know? It's the same kind of look too, so it's like a creative, it's a created being. And it shares the similarities there too.
the earth spouted fire, with the Smelter Demon arising from the flames. It says that the short-sighted king was incinerated by the creature in one swing, and his castle devoured in a sea of flames. The other side of the lore says that the king hurled himself into the magma, perhaps in agony over what he had done to his friend. Though, in the end, the Queen of Ruin arrives at the kingdom and finds no king or country. The short-sighted king had sunk below the scorching iron, and his iron rule sunk with him. If this video added a bit of depth to the experience you had with the game, then let me know. That's my goal here on YouTube. If you want to become a part of the small group that...
How do you explain this then? Did he like morph in the lava and become this fucker? I was hoping he was going to touch on why the old Iron King is just this massive demon now.
Directly supports me, then please click the link on the screen. It'll take you to a page where you can pledge a small amount of money per month to be part of a small, engaged...
I really do like that small little art piece he's made for his Patreon. It's really nice. Yeah, and there's no old Iron King lore video from him that I could see. I was hoping to figure out why the old Iron King was a giant demon, but oh well. That was a lot more of a sad story than I was anticipating. But the story's not done yet, because next is the Fume Knight, where we learn why the Raven became Fume Knight. I see what that's about. I don't know who the Raven is, but...
Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight.
A bunch of you told me about that, and that I didn't really understand, but...
Lord of Light. He feared the darkness, feared what it would do to his age of fire. So he surrounded himself with powerful allies, even splitting his own soul so that their power could be greater. They would all fail him in the end. Most abandoned the kingdom. One went mad, another tried to relight the first flame, but none compared to the treachery of the Four Kings. The Four Kings who ruled over New Londo were praised for their foresight, yet still they succumbed to the temptations of the Abyss. In exchange for the art of life drain, the Four Kings gave up their kingdoms to Dark. These were the events of long, long ago, and today no one remembers the kings' names. However, names change, but the story remains the same, and Four Kings again lose their kingdoms to the Abyss. One of the four is Vendrick, the present Lord of Light. Like Gwyn before him, Vendrick surrounded himself with allies he trusted. He favored simple warriors who staked their every battle on strength alone, and he valued knowledge of all things.
My lord made magnificent findings on souls, an accomplishment for the ages. He vanquished the four great ones and built this kingdom upon their souls.
Our king has watched over this land since ages long, long ago.
The man was born to rule. When he heard that the giants from across the sea held a threat to his kingdom, he vanquished them and claimed their strength. When the Iron Kingdom fell, Vendrick sent his soldiers to claim the replete stores of iron held in Broom Tower. And when the undead curse threatened his own kingdom, Vendrick created monstrosities in the name of the greater good.
We never fought
Everything he did for his kingdom. To serve him, the king had two he valued above all others: Rhaim and Velstad. These men were known as the left and right arms of the king, even though they were as different as night and day. Rhaim, the darker brother, cared deeply for his king. He sought the man's admiration and saw Vendrick as a regal father figure. His great shield was emblazoned with a great raven, an omen of death, but it was Rhaim's favorite bird. This great shield would one day be the only thing left of him in Drangleic, a foreshadowing of his fate.
Interesting.
Velstad, the right arm of the king, was always at Vendrick's side, as if he were his lord's own shadow. They say Drangleic is no place for any cleric with ambition, yet Velstad had risen to the top, and remained the exception to his lord's disregard of miracles. The lore tells us that Velstad was lured to Drangleic from a faraway land, but forgot even why he came. You can trace the man's origins to the sunken kingdom of Shulva, where even now, amongst the ruins, a wrathful queen summons a follower in his image. Such was his loyalty. This queen brought destruction to her people and to her king. She rose to power by gaining favor with the king and by singing to the ancient dragon they worshipped. When the king of Shulva realized her true nature, it was already too late. The ancient dragon awoke and spewed poison over the entire city, until only Alana, the squalid queen, remained. If Velstad is indeed from Shulva, one has to wonder how he didn't see history repeating itself. For the darkness was rising, and his king was in danger. Alana was not the only child of Dark seeking a king. A woman named Nishandra arrived in Drangleic and began courting the current king.
She warned our lord of the looming threat across the seas, of the giants. The king crossed the ocean and defeated the giants, with the queen at his side.
There was no better way to seduce Vendrick, and the queen knew it. He valued this kingdom above all else, and would vanquish any enemy to keep it safe.
So
One has
messed
to
up, man.
ask, were the giants ever a threat? Or were they simply a target Nishandra used to gain Vendrick's trust? Regardless, Vendrick conquered the giants' homeland and counted the battle as won.
God, that John
The
got
queen brought
wrecked.
peace to this land and to her king.
There was always
Peace so deep, it was like
The dark.
Oh,
A man can be judged by the company he keeps.
I did not pick up on that. Knowing now what she is now and that line, that hit hard.
And the company Vendrick kept was loyal indeed. Velstad, the royal Aegis, would follow his king into darkness if need be. But there is a difference between loyalty to a king and loyalty to a kingdom. So only one saw Nishandra for what she truly was, while the other was blinded by faith. Rhaim. Rhaim was denounced as a traitor for speaking for his kingdom but against the king and queen. Velstad, utterly faithful towards the crown, would vanquish Rhaim for daring to question the monarchy. So the two arms of the king clashed, instead of facing the true threat. Nishandra had eliminated any threats to the kingdom, and had found a king blinded by love. She was perfectly poised to usurp the throne, and Rhaim saw it. The king's tragic flaw was his pride, and Velstad's flaw was his mindless faith. For without tolerating those who challenge us, how can we grow? The light is always moving forward, and the darkness will only win when the light stops seeking it out. With the kingdom at peace, Nishandra had halted the kingdom's momentum, and darkness crept closer. Velstad should have recognized the pattern that took place long ago in Shulva. Both of his kings were being manipulated by a child of Dark, yet Velstad did nothing to stop it happening again. His faith in his king was absolute, the truth irrelevant. The king valued strength and loyalty, and both were on display here. Velstad fought for his king, Rhaim for the fate of his kingdom. Both were loyal, both were powerful. Yet Velstad was the victor. Rhaim was not killed for his treason. He was exiled. His strength had not been enough, so he left the kingdom in search of greater strength. He would never return.
Damn.
He had learned that being right is meaningless without power to back it up. Anyone could see that the kingdom was deteriorating under Nishandra's rule, Yet Velstadt's faith had overpowered the truth. Velstadt had come from a kingdom where a dark queen remained, so perhaps Rhaime set out to check if other kingdoms had suffered the same fate. So it was that he found himself in Broom Tower, a place that had once belonged to the Iron King before his fall. It was common knowledge that the Iron King had taken no queen, so what Rhaime found there must have chilled him and confirmed his fears about Nashandra. The entire tower had been enveloped by a black fog. It repelled any who came close, haunting suits of armor and fighting off any soldiers who attempted to enter. However, Rhaime was not most soldiers. A stalwart warrior, Rhaime had the ability to expunge the black fog. He was strong, and tracked the black fog to its source at the base of the tower. Amongst the remnants of a past kingdom covered in ash was Nadalia, the Ashen Maiden. Nadalia arrived at this tower seeking a king, but was too late. The king she sought had already sunk below the molten iron, and his rule had passed. Dispirited, this child of dark made Broom Tower her home. In the place she might have ruled alongside her king. Perhaps Rhaime's original intent was to banish Nadalia, the Dark Queen of Broom Tower. If he could do this, then he could return with proof to his kingdom and make his king see the truth. At some point after entering Broom Tower, though, this changed. Just like Rhaime, Nadalia was deprived of a king and kingdom. Perhaps they found some mutuality in this, for Rhaime decided to trust this child of dark, allowing her to cling to his sword in her miasmic form. Rhaime was reborn, granted true purpose under a newfound mother rather than a regal father. Which begs the question, could such a queen be evil, or was Rhaime another victim of a Dark Queen's manipulation? After Rhaime left Drangleic, the kingdom collapsed. The giants invaded with revenge in their hearts, and Nashandra took the throne, forcing Vendrick into hiding. Velstadt followed his king into the undead crypt, where he would guard him in darkness forever. Rhaime remained in Broom Tower, protecting the Ashen Maiden from harm. And then you come, seeking answers in empty kingdoms.
We came to fuck shit up.
This video is supported by Patreon.com and all of my supporters over there. Basically, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a really good page that supports really good content creation, nice. So maybe you'll find someone else over there.
That's pretty much Dark Souls 1 in a nutshell. Once upon a time, an old man was afraid of the dark, so he set himself on fire at the end. Yeah. Yeah, Rhaime had the biggest I fucking told you so in the history of Dark Souls. Brethren before wenches. Yeah, it's interesting that she didn't go seeking another king after finding that Broom Tower was empty, and just kind of stayed there, and how she was scattered around in fragments. He didn't really touch on why she was in fragments. But interesting nonetheless. Yeah, sad story. All these stories are like sad. This story was a little, I mean, it was strong between Velstadt and him. It was like a cool light versus dark kind of thing. But the part where he goes to Broom Tower is a little weak for me. I don't know, it just feels kind of like stuck together with blue tack. Like, oh, he got there and then common ground, so she influenced him. It could have been something a little bit more there. I hope it was a little bit more than that, and that's just his impression of what it was. Anyway, on to the coolest boss fight of the DLCs, the Ivory King.
I still think on that creature from the abyss that preyed upon me. My faculties were far from lucid, but I quite clearly sensed certain emotions. A wrenching nostalgia, a lost joy, an object of obsession, and a sincere hope to reclaim it. Could these thoughts belong to the beast from the abyss? But if that were true...
See, she was looking down, she's like...
Then perhaps it is no beast after all.
4 queens remain in empty kingdoms, all of them fragments of this creature that was vanquished long ago. We have seen examples of their evil in what remains. One stands alone in the ruins of her home, another rose from the ashes of a lost kingdom, and yet another gained the love of her king and used it to force him into a dark corner, where he would forever think on his mistakes. But you will hear the tale of a fourth queen before the end of this story, and she will make you question everything that you have previously held true. Alsana, Queen of the Ivory King, also stands alone in an empty kingdom.
Look how skinny her legs are.
You, approaching the Leon Lois, turn back.
I didn't get to go up and actually talk to her.
This city has nothing to offer. Go back.
I have a feeling she's going to be a good spirit or fragment of his soul.
Why do we build walls? Well, there are two reasons. The first is more common. It's to protect something precious. But the second is much more rare and much more terrifying. It's to keep something from getting out. The walls of Aleum Lois are those second kind of walls. The city is a Pandora's box, built to contain one of the most ancient evils the world ever knew.
Very pretty.
The Chaos. The Chaos did not always exist.
Like, look at that.
It was born of fear and desperation long ago in the Age of Lords. Theirs was the earliest civilization, built upon the first flame ever to be. 4 powerful beings derived their strength from this flame, for it gave them souls. 1 soul of dark, 1 of light, a soul of death, and a soul of life. Inevitably, this first flame began to dwindle, and so too did the Lords. The Witch of Izalith, with great power over flame, thought to focus the power of her life soul to create a new flame, a second flame that could replace the first, so that their age would not end. So the witch and her daughters initiated this ritual, but something went wrong. The flame she created was too powerful, and she failed to control it. This was the birth of chaos. The witch and her sisters were either killed or malformed, and the witch herself became the bed of all chaos, deep below Izalith, a city lost to the twisted flame. Countless demons spewed forth from the inextinguishable chaos, infesting Izalith until the land was overrun. Lifetimes later, the bed of chaos would be defeated, but not destroyed, and after the rise and fall of many civilizations, the chaos rose again, in the country of Ferossa, on a barren plain where Aleum Lois was to be built. The Ferossans were the ones who dealt with the chaos, for it had erupted on their land. Ferossans are famed for their god of war, valuing valor and combat prowess. Notable men of Ferossa were shieldless Lethian, who grew tired of the frailty of human foes and set off to slay dragons. There was Vengal, the mad beast of the battlefield, who claimed the heads of countless enemies, and there were the Ferossan Lion Knights, feared for their nimble two-handed swordplay. But the highest-ranking knight, and the most famed of them all, was the Ivory King of Ferossa. After taking his crown, they say he was the first to swing his sword in times of need, be it for his homeland or for his people. And his sword was required far to the north, for the old chaos had resurfaced there once more.
This land is barren, cursed by the old chaos. It gave birth to atrocities, and the people fled in fear. Until our Lord, the Ivory King, came.
With his sword, his soul, and his Lois Knights, the Ivory King fought back the chaos. When it was contained, they built Aleum Lois, a vast rampart city. Golems patrolled the walls, given life by the Ivory King, and they were charged with the containment of the creatures of the chaos within. A cult of priestesses was formed, who devoted themselves to a ritual that appeased the ancient flame. The king himself erected his throne at the very entrance to chaos, for he wished to serve as the first line of defense. Any creature of chaos that threatened his city would have to pass him first, and the king would not falter.
Very noble.
It was here, in Aleum Lois, that the Ivory King took a queen, Alsana. It appears she was a woman of great power, for she possessed the same talent as the priestesses did, and she quelled the chaos flame below. Together, in a city cut off from the rest of the world, and facing constant peril, they were wed, and they stood together despite the hardship. Like the other queens before her, Alsana was born of dark. She wed her king out of selfishness, for she saw that the king of Ferossa was strong, and intended to find safety by his side. Nevertheless, the Ivory King loved her, and supported this child of the abyss even as he fought against the flames of chaos. Two ancient evils weighed upon the king, one in front of him and one at his side, but even so he weathered them both, for himself and for his people. There is evidence that having a child of dark by his side weighed upon the king. He had 7 pets, and 2 are found in the outskirts of Aleam Lois, tasked with the mercy killings of those who were exiled from the city. Lud and Zalan are great cats, brothers of Ava, a tiger that remains in the city itself.
I wonder if he's going to touch on why they're black. One of you told me it's because they're just covered in blood from all the killing, which is really messed up.
The 2 outside are cursed with a dark aura, and one has to wonder whether they became this way due to the presence of Alsana, for they are kept out of sight where none would report on their true nature or what the child of dark was doing to those who stood beside her. Inevitably, there came a moment.
Said it was dark on them, not the blood. I don't know. It could be both. Could be the knowledge came out past this guy's video. Now, which one is it? Do you think it's the blood or do you think it's the dark? I mean, it could be a bit of both. They do have like an aura of dark around them.
Where the Ivory King sensed the degradation of his own soul. In this moment, he made a decision. He would not run from chaos. Rather, he would give himself to chaos in order to appease the flame. Without a word, he left his home, he left his wife, and he left his country, but not without one final act. For before he set off to strike at the heart of chaos, he entrusted everything to Alsana. Upon his parting, he handed her Aleam Lois, the city, and a ceremonial blade by its namesake. The twin blades of Aleam Lois, one light and one dark, were entwined as the Ivory King and his Dark Queen once were. He knew Alsana was a child of dark all along, but he said nothing. He believed her to be more than the sum of her parts, and so she was. The king's belief in the queen allowed her to rise above her dark nature. It was his final gift to her. But then he left, never to return.
Aww.
Inevitably, the king was drained of vigor and plunged into the chaos's heart. Aleam Lois was frozen in time, its leader lost. I remain here to contain the chaos, honoring my lord's wishes. Though I am yet to know your name, stranger, will you lend me your strength? I have but one wish. That my dear lord might be freed from that unspeakable chaos. Many of Aleam Lois's faithful knights followed their lord into the chaos. The king's dutiful subjects waited patiently for his homecoming, but it was too long a wait to bear.
God, I hated trying to get all these
The
guys.
knights reborn will follow your word.
Hated it.
The path to chaos is now open. And please, do all you can.
Chaos claimed the Ivory King, and many knights of Lois. Many were burned along with their lord, and to this day they burn in agony alongside their once proud king, lacking all sense of self, and driven only to expunge those who might disturb the flame, even former compatriots. But those who survived fight with us now, commanded to strike down their former comrades and their own king. Their sacrifice is total, and they freeze the portals so that we may face Chaos's new champion. What makes a king? Some say that it is birthright, while others call it destiny. Perhaps it is not important, as long as the king's name serves to unite his people. The Ivory King was the greatest king we have seen so far. His sacrifice saved the world from chaos, and he was not changed by the child of dark at his side. In fact, she alone remains, despite her fearful nature, and watches over chaos out of respect for her lord. Such was his influence over her. For Alsana, we free the Ivory King's soul from the grip of chaos.
You've granted my one wish. My dear lord has departed.
I was just about to say the, see my hand. All the branches that were coming down looked a lot like the Bed of Chaos, and now they're gone because the Chaos has been tamed, or we got the king back. I don't know why they're gone here, but yeah.
Now, I have no regrets. I was born amidst the dark. Long ago, in the depths of the abyss, my father perished. The dark shattered into tiny pieces, one of which was me. How frightened I was. A frail thing, born from but a splinter of dark. I felt that I might simply disappear. I am, in fact, the incarnation of my father's fears. I saw that the king of this land was strong. I sought him only to sustain myself, to smother my fears. Now, I realize that he may have known all along. I was born of fear, and my Lord provided comfort. And so, here I remain, heiress to my Lord's wishes, watching over chaos. Until the end of time.
What an existence.
My father, once human, succumbed to dark, and later set in motion its raging advance. The dark wanders, guided by its thirst for souls. But perhaps man is no different.
She's definitely better of the siblings, I'll say that much. I have to agree, the Iron King was definitely the best of all the kings, including Vendrick. Vendrick was self-proclaimed coward. He did hide himself away, but it was for a great purpose. He kind of sacrificed himself to wither away and die so that Lysandra couldn't take the throne and light the fire herself, or smother it, I guess. But Iron King just, he stood on business. He came from nothing, became a king, wedded the dark so that the dark could form its own path. It was that was a more of a charming story. I like that one. That was a nice one. Now it's the OG, the MVP, the Lucatiel of Mira.
A person's identity depends on qualities that can crumble. He or she is in danger of despair, for without a sense of self we are nothing, and the world is unmoved by our existence.
If everything should fade, what will be left of me?
We live in fear of this loss of self, our existential crisis.
I'm called Lucatiel. I come from Mira, a land of knights. My sword is always ready.
There is only one way up in Mira. Join the Order and prove yourself in battle.
My family had little fortune and no name. I had to carve out a piece of the world for myself, with two things: my sword and my loyalty to my lord. I was raised to wield a sword from birth. Life was hard, but I never gave it a second thought. I had swift success on the battlefield and quickly attained respectable stature.
And then I came here to...
Who are you?
Yeah, her
we
story
came
is
to
sad.
Drang Lake seeking answers. Our flesh, like many others of humanity, is branded with the dark sign of the undead. While marked, an undead's memory of their humanity will fade, until only a hollow husk remains. Undeath robs us of our past, and in doing so, it robs us of our fate. Lucatiel was marked, and she bears it with shame, for it forced her out of her homeland. Across many kingdoms, the appearance of this curse and those who bear it has been met with fear and hatred. The King of Iron bound the undead in chains and tortured them endlessly. The current King of Light did much the same, sending them to an inescapable Bastille. It is not so strange to think that the land of Mira would have reacted in much the same manner, damning Lucatiel if it was ever discovered what she had become.
Have you heard of the undead? These poor souls affected by the curse.
An undead gradually loses his humanity until his wits degrade completely.
Finally, he turns hollow and preys upon others.
And a hollow can never be human again.
One can skirt this wicked fate only with the help of the souls found here. Assuming, of course, that the legends are true. I can only hope that they are.
The mask hides Lucatiel's shame. It is said that Drangleic holds the souls that can cure the curse. Many adventurers rose to the call, some driven by greed, others by desperation. For Lucatiel, Drangleic holds salvation.
I found my thoughts growing hazy. My memories are fading, oldest first. The curse is doing its work upon me.
What a scary thought.
I am frightened. Terribly so.
It's basically Alzheimer's.
If everything should fade, what will be left of me?
Existential despair. The curse took her knighthood, the thing she devoted her life to. Lucatiel's self was based on her prowess as a knight and her loyalty to her lord. Forced to leave for Drangleic, what does she have left? She will lose herself, given time. She will lose that which made her what she is.
She got there.
Oh, you... My thoughts are very scattered. What is this curse? The question rings in my mind, but I haven't the focus to answer it. Loss frightens me no end. Loss of memory, loss of self. If I were told that by killing you I would be freed of this curse, then I would draw my sword without hesitation. I don't want to die. I want to exist. I would sacrifice anything at all for this. It shames me, but it is the truth. Sometimes I feel obsessed with this insignificant thing called self. But even so, I am compelled to preserve it. Am I wrong to feel so? Surely you do the same in my shoes. Maybe we're all cursed from the moment we're born.
All of us face this same despair. Cursed or not, there is no meaning in the world, beyond what meaning we give it. Despite this, we seek meaning. For a life free of purpose simply means that we are able to imprint our own. We are all a product of our past, and this shapes our future. But an undead is doomed to lose his past, and thus fated to be robbed of his future. Lucatiel has one hope, to find her past and recover who she was.
I had an older brother. We learned to fence together. He became the most decorated swordsman in all of Mira. I never even compared to him. In fact, I never beat him, not once. But then,
Who's that guy?
one day,
Is that him?
he was gone. Lost without a trace. Now I'm certain that he was taken by the curse. If only someone would hear my tale. My brother must have come here, too. Soon I may forget even about him.
An undead gradually loses his humanity until his wits degrade completely. Finally, he turns hollow and preys upon others.
You... What's become of you? Oh,
Oh,
my
that was
dear
him. I
brother.
see.
I won't die in this foul place.
Nice. Riposte.
You.
Bam.
Who are you? Oh. No, forgive me. I know you. Yes, of course.
How goes your journey?
We find Lucatiel here after her help in countless battles, and right before her finding her brother. It is assumed that they have fought, but it is not known. Perhaps she never met him, perhaps it's better that way, for he has lost himself, and attacks others to rob them of their humanity. Regardless, Lucatiel never progresses further, so it is here, outside of Aldia's keep, that her journey ends.
I know not what you seek in this faraway land.
I'm surprised we never, like, fought her as an undead, you know? Like, Dark Souls 1, as an example, we fight the Crestfallen Warrior when he goes hollow. Here, it's assumed that she goes hollow, but we never see her again. I feel like that would have been a little bit more impactful if we had to, like, fight her, because it would have been absolute that she went hollow.
But I pray for your safety.
My name is Lucatiel. I beg of you, remember my name, for I may not myself.
Existential despair is a universal human condition. There is no meaning in the world, and yet we seek it insatiably. Hey guys, if you liked that video, then you can click the bonfire and become a part of the small group that supports this channel.
And that's it for the Prepare to Cry, at least what I could find. Let me see if I can find another one. That's Dark Souls 1. I think that's it. You know, I was expecting they're all sad. Even the last one was sad, you know, for Dark Souls 1. And I mean, it's Prepare to Cry, but it's sad. And it's crazy how time works in this game. Because, you know, like, Velstad is just sitting next to where Vendrick goes hollow for years and years and years until someone challenges. Aren't they all human? Why are they larger than everyone else? I don't think that's been explained. And why they're able just to exist forever until someone comes along. Yeah. I like the story of, I forget her name already, I'm bad with names, but the one that wedded the Ivory King. She rose above her darkness and carries out her duty to maintain the chaos at bay. I like that story. It's sad, but it's also a good story. It's not like a bad ending or anything. Like, we helped her, we got his soul free, and now she can remain true to her calling, what that is to hold chaos at bay. Yeah, man, the lore in these games just goes so deep. It's crazy how they put all this stuff together like this. And I loved Vaati pulling from Dark Souls 1 to link it all together and visualize it better. Very nice. Very well done as always, Vaati. You're the OG. You're the GOAT. Has he got anything new? Oh, the lore of Night Ring. Okay. The lore of Elden Ring is unhinged. Oh my god, he's got a lot of videos here for Elden Ring. From Software's new game is Bloodborne 2, Duskbloods. Got a lot of videos to react to in the future by the looks of it. So much lore. Oh no. It's 40 minutes long. Is there a Prepare to Cry for Elden Ring? Yep, there it is. Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Is that just Chaos Flame rebranded? Who's this guy? I've seen this pothead guy before. I don't know where from. Wild. Very cool. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Going through all those stories. I was a little bit more engaged too. I don't know why I'm gonna post this one, whether it's the lore one or this one next, but the lore one, I kind of just sat there watching. I didn't really say much. As I was editing it, I was like, this is gonna be super boring. So I apologize for that video. It's just there for padding before Dark Souls 3. I'm going to start getting ready for that, actually. I'm going to do another test stream soon. I'm looking into the settings to making sure the quality is better and we don't get all the choppy nonsense. And then very soon we'll be playing it. I won't be posting it. I'm still taking a break from all of that. I think the test I'll do will probably be another horror game. I bought the pack of Creepy Shift, so I still have one left to play. So if you're a horror fan, you can look forward to that one. But otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. This is the last video I'm going to do for Dark Souls 2. So whether I see you in the test stream or the first episode live stream, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to play it. I'm looking very forward to it. As usual, when I start one of these new games, everyone's pretty divided on whether, oh, it was a good game or a bad game, but everyone seems to be of the same mindset that it's the most fun to play mechanics-wise. It is very smooth. They fixed everything they need to fix. Whether the story is favorable is up for opinion, which, I mean, it's hard to top Dark Souls 2, especially after learning everything, the lore, and experiencing it. It is a very heavy story. It has a lot of complexities and a lot of depth, which I felt wasn't in Dark Souls 1. So you gotta give credit where credit's due. They did a very good job. Even though there's a lot of questions, I think a lot of them are meant to be ambiguous and left open for our own conclusions. Still wish they did more with the whole 3 crowns and becoming immune to undead. I feel like that needed its conclusion on what it meant in the grand scope. You know, like I said in my lore react video, I feel like Dark Souls 2 is the real end of the trilogy, because if that is a possible ending, that should be the ending. Because we break from the shackles of fate, as the Emerald Herald said. Well, we'll see what you guys say in the lore video, but I'm interested to what you think, on if you agree that Dark Souls 2 is the real ending and Dark Souls 3 is more of like a prequel, or just something that happened between Dark Souls 1 and 2. Yeah. Why do I keep rambling? I don't know. I'm gonna go edit. I am going to go start twinkling. I'm gonna start messing around with settings, seeing if I can't get a live stream going. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know these videos aren't as engaging as, you know, the actual series, but they do help me a lot and appreciate the games more. So I hope you like them. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.